Hey there, welcome back. And of course, we are now back live to you guys. Hopefully, you guys are joining in. We'll give you a few people coming in right now. Bring it on in, baby. We love it. We bring it on in to the Diamond Circle. We're going to talk about that amongst many other things, and that is Binance and BNB, the token, a little bit where it's going. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. If you guys are new to the channel, the number one thing you want to do right now is to get in this thing we call the Diamond Circle. It's very simple. It's free to you to join. Just hit the links in the video here and it's going to take you over to our website. You sign up. The cool thing is we're going to give you guys both information, education, absolutely free, but also we're going to be giving back some digital asset rewards, and that could be in everything from NFTs, tokens, IDOs, you name it. We're going to be trying to do quite a bit with the Diamond Circle members, and of course all you have to do is give us your time, your talent, and your treasure. And your treasure is your attention today. All right, let's jump into a little bit about where Binance is going and really kind of the latest moves, because there's been a little bit of volatility that's been happening both on the token, but in general in Binance, the company. I want to jump to this first story here on Decrypt. Binance to delist, I should say, the digital Chinese Yuan and block crypto traders in mainland China. We've kind of seen this coming for quite some time. The yuan, the digital yuan, is going to be blocked on and as of December 31st, so we'll see a little bit of that moving down. There are some other things around this that I think are interesting. Binance's OTC trading platform known as C2C. This is a customer-to-customer marketplace that basically allows traders to place all their self-directed. They're going to be shutting this down to all of the residents of China, mainland China, to essentially to where you can either only hold or, of course, sell. You won't be able to do any acquisition. So this is, of course, in response to the regulatory requirements of the local government. Binance C2C will delist the CNY. This is the digital yuan on December 31st, 2021. And Binance, of course, is starting to make some other moves to really deal with this situation. If it does find, people, users that are utilizing it in mainland China, then essentially it's going to be withdrawal mode only, as I mentioned. I just wonder how many of these users, because these are fairly technical users, is essentially going to be using VPNs and continue to try to do some kind of trading. This is going to be an interesting thing to track both on chain data and also in sentiment, because I think there's a certain amount of data that we're gathering from China that is giving us a little bit of direction around sentiment. So this is going to be one to watch. And I think it's going to be interesting if you're invested in BNB. I'm interested in one, and you can drop the comments down below. Do you look at this as a long-term play, and are you utilizing the Binance tool in terms of doing your crypto trading? I'm kind of curious how many Binance users we have in the comments. Just type BNB in your comment if you're a Binance user. And if you're in the chat over here, just let me know if you're a BNB user. I just want to see the kind of numbers here on where this is going. Now, the token itself has been a little bit volatile. I want to jump to this. Immediately after the news of the upcoming restrictions in China and on the Chinese users broke, the asset plunged from 463 to 434, but it did recover a little bit here, most likely on the back of the news that Binance's Launchpad will host a token sale of the Italian soccer club Lazio's fan token. I want to jump into a chart here in a minute that really kind of shows a little bit about what's happening within the token. We'll also dive into our own chart, which is where we'll lay over the sentiment and amplification data analysis that helps us kind of understand the trajectory of a particular project, and also show you some things within that own chart that's kind of unique in the sense that even when we identify tokens that are moving fairly quick, when you see these super volatile token moves like we did with BNB, then it's interesting to watch how sentiment kind of tracks along with it. And we've seen this happen a couple of times with Bitcoin. And I'll show you the Bitcoin chart too. I want to jump to that as well later in the show. But really the key here is that we're going to see Binance in a very, very good position, I think, not only on this bull run, but also with some of the things that they're offering and bringing to market. So it's going to be an interesting thing to play. I want to jump over here to this story right here. Binance Coin eyes 560 next after BNB's price cup and handle breakout. This is basically a chart analysis that is looking at, it's called dubbed the cup and handle pattern. Let me kind of highlight that because my Weeva has been acting up here recently. I don't know if you guys use Weeva as your highlighter. I do it for just tracking all of the news. In fact, it's probably something we should talk about how to do your own research. Doing your own research, you need a tool that can really kind of put together your domino and or your connect the dot type research, because it's something that we do here on a constant basis of pulling data together and then trying to link that up with other relative news items or research that we've done. And Weeva has been a tool that I've used that kind of helps you do that, because it does give it to you on a web-based. It basically lets you highlight a web page, and you can run folders and all that kind of things, those kind of things in terms of organizing your research. This is something you should be doing on an ongoing basis with anything you're doing. And as always, when we do these market mover live sessions like this, the key here is we want you to do your own research, because we're not giving you financial advice. It's not investment advice. The key is we're hopefully getting you moving in the right direction around some of this data and some of our own research of how we're looking at the market. So back to the story here. This cup and handle pattern appears when a price forms an advance that appears like a U-shaped trend, cup, and that follows up with a formation of a descending channel range, handle. And a breakout above the handle range typically leads to an upside continuation. These, again, are traditional technical analysis that we're talking about that happens. So it appears that BNB has undergone a price trajectory that looks like a cup and handle pattern. Furthermore, the cryptocurrency's last rally, accompanied by an increase in trading volume, took its prices above the handle range for a breakout, and that, of course, raised the possibility of what we're talking. You can kind of see that cup and handle movement right here of where this is moving. This is a trading view chart that was done by one of the analysts there on how this potentially could move. And this is essentially what we're tracking right here, is this section of what kind of move. Now, interestingly enough, in our own analysis of where this is going, consumer sentiment actually moves with the market much more than even the money. Because remember, the key with money moves into a market is driven by consumer sentiment. Amplification, which we also measure, is what we think the trickle effect, or the trickle down effect or trickle up effect, will have on the token price once that amplification starts moving sentiment as the price continues to move throughout its lifespan or its timeline. So that's how we kind of look at the data in applying our own sentiment and analytic tools over what we're seeing in terms of these traditional technical analysis. So I want to go back to the chart here, because this is kind of interesting. The BNB price fundamentals, the latest BNB price rally appeared after Binance and via its blockchain project, Binance Smart Chain, launched. This is the billion-dollar fund that they basically had earmarked $300 million for projects building decentralized applications atop BSC. Now, there's been a lot of public chains that have done this. For example, you've got one right here that they talk about is Solana, which, of course, let me highlight that real quick. Solana, a public chain, also got $5 million worth of rewards and seed funding for developers participating. You also saw the thing in the project with Avalanche and Avalanche Rush. We've seen projects like this move and develop with Cardano. But this is really kind of the first one. I think this is one of the big reasons why Binance could be on the cusp of something very interesting in terms of its growth moving to the next level because of the development. This is a big fund, 300 million. I mean, you're talking, what is that, 60 times the size of what Solana's trying to do. Obviously, it's BNB. And the opportunity here of some of the things they're doing strategically to basically compete with all the other big players in the marketplace. And that's going to be companies like Coinbase and others, even, to a certain extent, Gemini and KuCoin, some of those that are taking some of the Binance customers out of their market. So I want you guys to, first of all, if you have questions, we want you to drop them in the chat. Make sure and send us some chat questions. We'll try to get to those at the end once we get past some of the news here, and then also into the data and some of the analysis. But I also want to hear from you guys in terms of what other tokens or you would like to see, or what other kind of projects do you think are going to be developing on the Binance Smart Chain? Because this is going to be a project to watch very closely. And CZ is got something up his sleeve here. I think there's something going on with Binance that is moving in this direction. Even though they've had the regulatory problems within many of the countries that they reside in or trying to do business in. I think that they are onto something very interesting here with what they're trying to do with this fund, where they're trying to go in terms of development, and also what they're going to be doing in terms of their marketplace. Even though they still are the largest exchange out there, I'm curious how much of an impact the Chinese market deletion, so to speak, is going to have on Binance in the coming 6 to 12 months. That'll be the big one. I also want to jump over to this article right here. Coinbase follows FTX US into NFT trading, which basically is saying they're jumping into an exchange on NFTs, and it's coming a day after the release of the NFT marketplace from rival exchanges, obviously with FTX and what Sam Bankman-Fried is doing over there. I signed up for this. I was surprised at the number of people, if they're utilizing just a pure simple counter, the number of people that had signed up for basically waiting for this to happen, because this is happening in December. And there's a link here. Let me see if I can pull it to your, right here on the article. Yeah, right here's the link. Let me jump to that real quick just so you guys can see it. So you might want to jump over there. This was the announcement for this NFT. It's launching later this year. You can join the wait list. And the early access, it's pretty simple. You just put your email in, obviously, to get to that. But the point is that this surprised me on the numbers. The last check we had on this project was over 880,000 in their distribution count, meaning had they had this many people, or did they start it at 800,000? Did they start it at 10,000? I'm just kind of curious, but massive number in terms of your waiting queue number. If that was real, then there is a lot more activity on Coinbase that are people that are really looking at maybe going into NFTs pretty significantly. Now here's the issue I think that you have to consider when you're researching, and this goes back to your research, okay, of how you put together research on where you should be, one, investing, using exchanges, should you get into NFTs, should you not, those kind of things. This is one that I thought was kind of interesting. If FTX's bet on Solana is a signal to other blockchains are poised to take a slice of Ethereum's hold on the NFT business, Coinbase is sending a different message, because they are going in the track of Ethereum and also with OpenSea. So the Coinbase right here, Coinbase product will take a direct swing at juggernaut marketplace OpenSea. So they're essentially trying to take out OpenSea, which is the juggernaut in the Ethereum side of things in terms of transaction volumes. But versus what you look at FTX of really kind of going in the direction of Solana. So you definitely have players starting to shake out now and get very competitive. What's interesting to me is that Coinbase went the route of the big 800-pound gorilla being Ethereum, and what's happening over on OpenSea. And we've talked about this before, and I've talked some about how OpenSea could be in a position where they might be or have a bullseye on their back. And I think Coinbase just kind of proved it. OpenSea, just to let you guys know, OpenSea has seen remarkable usage during the NFT market's red hot run for in the past 4 months, completing as many as 80,000 transactions a day at its peak. And I think we're going to see this even blow up even more. And I think Coinbase is looking at this as a potential. So with Binance over here doing this massive development, looking at this potential, I'm just wondering when Binance is going to drop the other shoe and say we're going to be moving toward an NFT platform that's going to be maybe cross or multi-chain capability. That'll be interesting to me because it'll have some effects on some of the other market players that are developing in that area. Or could they take one of the major chains and their own Binance Smart Chain to be able to go in this direction in terms of the development with $300 million? That's a big bundle of money to get developers to really moving in that direction. So you've got a lot of things happening in the marketplace right now with both Binance, FTX, Coinbase. They are really becoming the three horsemen, I think. I'm just wondering if that fourth horseman comes in being Gemini to really kind of move in this direction, because I think this is going to be a scenario where we're going to see some major players. I'm just kind of curious whether or not Voyager could maybe jump in and start doing some things like this. These are big boy moves here when it comes to moving into the NFT space. And I think that's going to be one that will really kind of fly. Another question I want for you guys in the audience out there is, are you investing in NFTs? So we have quite a bit of research going right now on NFTs, NFT gaming. A lot of our own team and staff internally are really moving that direction. You know, we got Handlebar Steve constantly pitching us, you know, so many great new coins on Trade Ogre and many of the other interesting places out there. Listen, you get it all here on TechPath. You get it all. We're not holding back anything. But we get some crazy stuff coming at us, that's for sure. And listen, the number of comments and people hitting up come on guys, you can leave my Facebook alone because this is getting out of hand in terms of check this coin, track that coin. Just hit me up on Twitter at Paul Barron. It's just that simple. If you've got some comments you want to hit me down below, that's fine too. Not literally down below, you know what I mean, down below in the comments. Or hit it over on the comments right now in the live stream, and we'll definitely get to that. Let's jump over to, but back to my point, because I always lost my thought there. Back to my point. If you're into NFTs, let me know if you really are investing in NFTs in a big way. Like, is it 1, 2, 5, 10% of your crypto stash? Or is this something that you feel is going to be the next evolution? I mean, if you look at guys like Alex Becker or Ilio Trades or some of those other YouTube channels that really focus on NFT and NFT gaming, they're really into those elements of it taking over in terms of really where the quick money is going to be made. It's also very risky and speculative. As a reminder, all of this is very speculative, but I'm kind of curious as to whether or not our audience is really tuned into that. Let's jump over to the BNB because I want to get back to really where this market is going for Binance and their token. Let's take a look here of the chart. We pulled this back in October, early the 5th, ran this when it took a little bit of a downtrend right here. 68.21 was the sentiment. Their amplification was up. This had, but it was up from previous, but not completely into the zone of where we would see, you know, parabolic numbers, which are usually in the 70s. And this, of course, rose up to 64.82. So not a bad number here. And of course, you saw the track, nice little move, and then the fall off right there. This is indicative of these kind of sentiment numbers. When we do a little amplification track, like what we're doing over here, we have to layer in our data on top of this to be able to match up to the price points within the metric that we're measuring. But when you look at this data set right here, which is running October 11th, right here through October 12th, which is when we saw a little bit of the movement around the news from them delisting the yuan and also changing what was happening in the situation with the Chinese, you know, mainlanders, is that they were removing them up, not removing them, but, you know, putting them to where they could not trade on the Binance level. So I think that was why we saw that downward, and then we saw the movement up when they said, hey, we're dropping the fund, we're doing a deal with the soccer league, those kind of things. And when you look at this number right here, 73.55, amplification flips, and again, we're back into the zone on these numbers with token projects like this, where this is active, and that was 74.02. That showed us we were going to see a parabolic move. In fact, it did occur. But this is what I want to point out here, because this is interesting. Even with parabolic moves, when we're tracking sentiment, because sentiment to a certain extent is, you still get leading indicators with amplification, but to a certain extent, you cannot keep up sometimes with the news cycle. And with Binance, they were dropping news item after news item. I almost wonder if it was strategically being done to cancel out the bad news, drop another piece, cancel out more bad news. I'm not sure if this is a strategic, you know, formatted play that they're putting into place, or if it just timing was right. But the point is that this is a token that is really moving aggressive. And if you look at where it's been over the past, really, since the 12th right here through the 13th, this last day of activity, 73.55, 74 on the amp, you can kind of see the movement, the volatility of dropping it all the way down to 432. That was, again, the price that it had moved back to. And then right back into the game, it jumps back up to 460. And now, of course, it's trading in at 458 currently. So it's coming back into our zone, which is really where we think that this is going to end up, is somewhere in this zone right here, which could be in the 460 to 475 range over the next few days. The good thing here is I want to show the track of where this can be. I always do that when I am clicking onto those things. But one of the things that I want to get into here is where this track is rolling over the next month. If this were to hold out in this trajectory, and again, the key here is, can we start to see this point right here, which is the $500 mark? And this is the one that I'm really interested in, because there are a lot of people that are kind of talking about this whole issue of it moving to this 560 level. Long term, when I say long term, meaning end of year, with the bull market and also some of the strategies that are happening within Bitcoin right now, and also what's going on in terms of the bull run, this is going to be an interesting thing to see. And I want to I'll jump over here in a second for our charts, but the thing that is going to be interesting is how this will start to move into really being affected by Bitcoin and other major players in this, because that, I think, is going to be something that will be very interesting to run. And let me pull up our chart layout. Hang on just a second. We'll pull up Bitcoin. There we go. Bitcoin is another good example of how this sentiment and how amplification will start to roll into this. And if it can paint up all my indices and tracking, here we can go. Now we can shoot to this one. Let me kind of run to this one. So right now we are in the zone exactly where the trajectory had pinned it. And that is what I think a lot of people, when we talk to you guys, and you guys hear us talk about sentiment and amplification, this is what we're talking about in terms of where we can look at these kind of scenarios. And this issue right here, which I thought was interesting right here on Bitcoin, was we saw this dip right here. Look at how it matches just almost dead on with what our amplification was showing in the directive of a potential fallout right here. Even though it's still showing this upward trend and this potential flat line right here with a high, this is going back to Bitcoin somewhere around the high of around 62 here in late October. Why is that interesting and different with where Binance will be, is because of its ability to stay on this trajectory right here that we're looking at right now, which really starts to move, I think, move the needle. Let's just draw right here. If we're moving the needle right up to that $500 point, which is really back to the point of this whole chart that they're talking about on the cup and handle. It really moves into the same kind of trajectory here. So sentiment does have a major opportunity, I think, in many cases when you're doing technical analysis, in overlaying sentiment into what's happening in the real markets for money flow, and also with the news, which typically, as you guys know, the node effect really, and the network effect really affects how a lot of these projects and tokens move. So that's one of the biggest things. All right, so we are going to be doing a lot more live. I want to do a big shout out to our audience and the signups. First of all, on the Diamond Circle, absolutely blown away by the number of people that have signed up for the Diamond Circle. Kudos to you guys, because you are early. You are the early adopters, and early adopters are going to be the ones that win the most bag. And what I mean by that is we're actually going to be doing a digital asset airdrop this Friday to one, maybe two, we'll see. We're going to give away some airdrops this Friday on the live stream at 3 p.m. Eastern, so don't miss that live stream. We'll be spinning our magical Diamond Circle wheel, and we'll be selecting one or two. We're still talking about that internally as to how many people we're going to be dropping in on getting airdrops back in. So make sure and join Diamond Circle. Get to it, man. It's free to you. It's going to be dropping not only digital assets to you, but a lot of knowledge back to you. And of course, it is free. Let's get into some of our questions on where we are going here. All right, so Ben, let's go to you. Where can I sign up to your trading chart software? Okay, so this, Ben, is a very good question. This is something we are working on right now to try to essentially create a Pine script that will overlay, just like any other Pine script. If you guys use MarketCypher or any other type of subscription-based trading chart indices, that's what we're trying to do with our data points on sentiment and analytics, so that you could subscribe to that, be able to paint out across this. I don't know when it's coming. we have had and struggled with finding the number of developers that can really kind of cross over the two systems, because you're talking about traditional TA versus sentiment. And there's a lot of algorithms and math that have to be done to be able to cross those two. We have to manually overlay those off of our sentiment layer into pricing and map them out. And it's very difficult. It takes a little bit of time to get it done. But we are going to, once we have that, we're going to hit it for you guys. We are going to get it. And guess what? It's probably going to be the diamond circle that gets it first. All right. 3 p.m. Taylor Abil, 3 p.m. on Friday, this Friday, October 15th, is when we're going to be doing our live stream. And that will be our first airdrop for the diamond circle. We're actually going to be doing the airdrop during that diamond circle. So 3 p.m. Eastern, Eastern US, 3 p.m. Friday. All right, so Brandon, Waze Miller, let's go to you. Cosmos, technical analysis, Litecoin could be interesting. LTC could be play with happen with Walmart. Imagine when the news like that is real. Okay, so, okay, I you know, Charlie could be, he could have something up his sleeve, yeah, for sure, on Litecoin, definitely. I like Cosmos. I mean, we've been tracking that. It's one of those that is a project that we've looked at as a potential for a breakout in terms of the altcoins. We will be doing a video on those, some of the low cap alts that we think might be in a position. Remember right now that Bitcoin dominance and also the market itself is trending very similar to the 2017. And what I would recommend for you guys to do right now is, on your own education, is go back into the charts for 2017. And if you're using TradingView, take a look at the total market value minus Bitcoin. Total market value minus Bitcoin. Look, because that's altcoins. Look at the charts of what was happening in 2017. It will map for you almost to the day of what we're seeing in the market right now. And that is a very interesting. If you want to see us do a video on that, because we could actually show that to you, it does require a little bit of draw for you, but we could pull it off for you. Let me know in the comments, and we could put that piece together for you guys. But I think you're right. There's going to be some movement in Cosmos there. All right, so let's get going on. No NFTs yet, still learning. I know nothing about NFTs, still wanting to learn. We're going to help you there. Why has Solana languished? Dennis Marshall. Okay, so that goes back to the exact same thing I was just mentioning, is remember Bitcoin dominance. Let me pull up market cap real quick. We might be able to kind of go to market cap and see where we are. All right, so here we go right here. Look at Bitcoin dominance right there. 46.1% right there up there in the top. You can kind of pull it from there. There's also some ways to do Bitcoin dominance on TradingView that is kind of cool. Let me see if I can pull that up for you guys on a chart, and we'll load a chart layout here. BTC fall. Yeah, right there is the dominance chart. This is a good way too, because it'll pull Bitcoin dominance over time, and you can kind of move it. To answer your question, remember what we're seeing right here. This is dominance moving back here. Right here is that October. This is the October high right here that we've seen. We saw this little bit of fall off, and then this correction right here back up to 45 and some change. This is Bitcoin dominance. And the reason that we're seeing Solana languish is because Bitcoin is taking all the air out of the market. It is basically consuming the investors' attention. It's also consuming capital and money flows, and also sentiment, hence what you're seeing right here. Even though that is happening, Solana has not plummeted. There wasn't a nice little buying opportunity earlier this week. One of our guys had jumped into that. I think it was around the 135, 140 mark. And that's one of those positions that I think is a great place to buy. That's not where I've priced that. My friend over at Invest Answers, James, he gave us that in the sense of 140 is a good number for Solana. And I still agree with James in terms of acquisition of Solana. So if you're buying it somewhere under the 140, not financial advice, but it's what we're doing. We're going in at the 140 mark because we think anything around that is a good buy, and wait for it, because it's coming, people. It's coming. Altcoin season is going to explode. And you guys are right here in the front seat, getting to get right there in the middle of it. All right. Sean Cardano, question mark. Okay, Sean. I've talked about this on the show before. I dropped all my bags on Cardano. Don't hate. I just felt like it was time to move some of the coins that I was looking at into the early stage. And what I did with that is I acquired more Bitcoin. This was pre-run up. I saw that coming. If you're using Market Cipher and doing some of those things, we saw a lot of these moves from the TA side, from the sentiment side. We knew it was coming. Cardano had gotten a little soft after Alonso had rolled out. However, that being said, Cardano's going to make another move. There has been big money moves in Cardano over the last 2 weeks, and they've been incrementally going in. We just have a video on this. I want you guys to listen to the video with the president of B2C2 USA that we just dropped on the channel. I know it's a long interview. She indicates some very interesting things there. And B2C2 is a liquidity provider for the industry. In other words, they're handling the whale trades, the whale of whale trades. So they're only doing like 700 trades a day. So you can imagine the kind of trades that they're handling in terms of liquidity. Cardano showing up on their radar. What does that tell you? It tells you that we may see some really interesting moves coming in Cardano, just with money flow and with activity and interest on where Cardano is. So a good one there. All right, let's go over here. Okay, so Bob Hayes is saying I would invest like 1% towards NFT. So that's good to know. I mean, we need to know these things as to whether or not you guys are edgy on the investment scale, looking toward NFT and NFT gaming, or if you're staying in mostly in the high caps or in some of these low cap alts looking for, some several X type of gains. So I know we get a lot of tokens on there and definitely love what we're seeing there. All right, let's go in here to also one. Why is it so hard? Okay, let's go here. Yeah, no use. And then VeChain, Sound Society, VeChain. I own this project. This is one of the ones that I think is going to also take a huge move in the altcoin season, and VeChain is a great project. You guys should check this one out. We are probably due you guys another video on VeChain, just with the updates that's happened with VeChain over time. The only concern I have about VeChain is the integration they had into the Chinese market, because VeChain was utilized and is utilized heavily by China. It was. And now at this point, I think that could have some effect on it. I don't necessarily think it's going to cause too much dent in the armor of VeChain, but I think it could have some potentials there in terms of where this is going. All right, so let's look on down here. Looks like AMP token, Flex and Network, Brandon Weismiller. What I would recommend, Brandon, is for you to check out the video that we did with the CEO of Flexa. He was on our show, and that's another thing. We'll do a ton. We get a ton of CEOs and major project developer leads on our show talking about their projects, and in many cases they're kind of giving some inside scoop on what's happening. So you want to make sure and tune in on those CEO interviews. Anytime you see CEO interview or interview on the YouTube thumb, definitely jump over and get into those, because a lot of times they will surprise you on the kind of things that come out in these interviews. John Woo, when we were talking to him early on Avalanche, John dropped some gems in there that made me think something's getting ready to happen with Avalanche. Sure enough, they started rolling out a ton of new projects and a ton of new information. Avalanche took its skyrocket ride, had its adjustment. If you were in and out, you made a lot of money on something like that. So definitely going to. The other thing that they're talking about, so AMP token, Flex, to definitely get into that one. I would go there. All right. Ooh, any insight on XPR Proton Payment Protocol? This is a super chat from SpongeBob. DK. Okay, so XPR, the Proton Payment Protocol, this is one that we've looked at before, the Proton Payment Protocol itself. This is one we actually owe a video on this one. I think this would be a good one just because of some of the things that we're seeing in payment architecture. And another video we dropped just here recently was this situation where Stripe was moving into payment architecture development. They're hiring new blockchain developers to essentially do that. Payment protocols will become a thing. My concern with some of the payment protocols are if Stripe, which I think is more threatening to me than Visa, because Stripe essentially, just the ability for them to handle the number of e-commerce systems that are out there, companies that are utilizing tools like Stripe, and it's big, meaning they have a massive customer base. Could they have a dent or put a dent on some of these payment protocols outside, or some of the regional protocols that maybe could get into these kind of cycles? That's another thing. If you get into something like that, could be a scenario though. But we need to take a look at XPR. Definitely, SpongeBob will get back with you on that one. Big one. ETC, let's go to Keaton Patel. ETC not moving forward. How about ETC? Okay. ETC, I won't say that we have looked at this one. It's not a token or a project that I'm really a fan of. There are some tokenomic issues, I think, with what ETC is dealing with. If I was looking at it, it would not be an investment for me. That's just me. Maybe for you, maybe you know something, or maybe your research is showing something that we don't see. Maybe you should drop that research to us in the comments below, because the links that you guys share with us on, hey, you should check this out or check that out, we'll chase those down for you. We'll take a look at them, verify them, see if they're real or if it's a scam. We'll try to build out, at least for ourselves, understand where these scenarios are. By the way, our comments from time, I mean, we're seeing the scammers are out in force. We're doing as best we can to delete. We will not ask for to communicate with you via Telegram. Just won't happen. The only way I'm going to communicate with you, our team here, is we're going to send you an email. It will come from a Rever Networks domain. That's the company that owns and runs Paul Barron Network, Rever Networks. If you get an email from a revernetworks.com address, that's us. That's the real thing. We're calling you or we're emailing you saying, hey, guess what? We're airdropping some stuff to you. We'll get you on the phone with you if you want to talk to us. We don't want to, break that barrier. But if you do want to talk to us, we'll get you on the phone and you can talk with me. You can even FaceTime with me. We'll do it that way. But I want you guys to be comfortable. But watch out for the scammers. That's the main thing. Caution, 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 especially in the comments. We don't offer anything in the comments. We'll reply to comments, but we won't offer advice of what we're doing or strategy of what we're doing in the comments. No investment advice, but we won't do that in the comments at all. So anyway, good stuff going on. Lots of good news lately. What are your thoughts? Okay, so I think we're gonna wrap it up for the day. Listen, lots of good comments and questions here today. We try to get to as many as we can. They're still coming in. And listen, guys, the number one thing I think when we're trying to do these live streams is we really want to make them beneficial for you. So if you have ideas that you want us to drill down in other words, do you want more charts? Do you want us to break down news or just go through token charts? Because maybe we do 3 token charts on a live stream. We are opening up our live stream to you, the Diamond Circle, to help us understand how we can serve you guys, get you moving in the right direction on all that good stuff. Remember, Diamond Circle, join now. Just do it right now. Stop what you're doing. Jump out of that live chat. Jump over to that website link. Click it now. Go over there. Put your information in. Hit join. Doesn't cost you anything. You'll be in the circle. When we start dropping member content, you'll get notified there's new content. That's the only time you'll hear from us. If we are, unless you, of course, have been an airdrop participant and we're dropping airdrop to you, meaning a digital asset of some sort. All those kind of things. That's the only way we'll do it, but you can do that from the Diamond Circle. Of course, if you want to hit me up on Twitter, you can do that at Paul Barron. All of you podcast listeners right now, you missed out today on the live stream with all these charts. Come over here to the YouTube channel and, of course, subscribe. It's the best way you can help us and the channel out. If you hit the links also in our description to some of our partners, that's helping the channel out. Hopefully this content gets supported by great sponsors and partners so we can give all of this to you guys free. That's the main thing. So if you need something, we'll only put things in the links below that we believe in and we've looked at, we like, or maybe even use. We won't send you something that we just don't know much about or we don't think it's a great solution. We might talk about it. We won't give, affiliate links and things like that. So just be aware of all that. All right, man. We'll catch you next time, ladies. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath. Don't forget Friday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern is our first airdrop. You don't want to miss that one. All right, we'll catch you guys next time right here on TechPath.